The first question that we are going to ask ourselves when we summarize is, what type of historical document is the source? And what this is asking is this document, from a textbook? Is it a memoir? Is it an essay? Is it a diary entry, etc.? And so when we look at this one, we could see right away that this source is probably a letter because it starts with the greeting, "Sir." Also, we could look at the title and we could see that it's something called a circular. And I might not be 100% sure what circular means. So what I can do just to confirm is I could look it up on the internet. And if I look up circular on the internet, it does say that a circular is another word for a letter or advertisement. So I know definitely at this point that it is a letter. And so at this point, what I will do is on my graphic organizer, I will fill in this information. This is a letter. The next question that we're going to ask ourselves is, what specific information, details, and or perspectives does the source provide? Now again, at this point, we are only looking for information that the source provides. We don't necessarily need to do in-depth reading of the text. So right away, I'm going to go to the title. And it says that it is a circular of the New York Committee to Aid the Cherokee Nation, 1832. Now this date stands out to me right away as being important information or details. And the reason that it does is because I know from looking at the map that we studied that the Indian Removal Act took place in 1830. So this means that this letter was written 2 years after the Indian Removal Act was put in place. So these are probably people who witnessed the effects of the Indian Removal Act. I also know that it was a group of people who probably wrote this letter because it says it's a circular of the New York Committee. And committee shows me that there's a group of people who are dedicated to a cause. And their cause becomes clear right here, where it says, "Aid the Cherokee Nation." Now, from this, I see that they want to aid them. And the use of the word aid shows me that they really want to help the Cherokee people. So this letter is probably going to be from the perspective of people who saw the Indian Removal Act in effect and believed that this was hurting the Cherokee Nation, and this letter is probably a plea to help them. So now what I'm going to do is add this new information to our graphic organizer. So right here I'll say, this letter is from a group of people, the New York Committee, who witnessed the effects of the Indian Removal Act and wanted to help the Cherokee Nation. The next two questions that we're going to try to answer are, what is the subject and or purpose of the source, and who was the author and or audience of the source? So from our last study of this document, we already found out that the main subject is to help aid the Cherokee Nation. And so we already know the answer to this one. So there's no new information to add to our graphic organizer. And for the next one, when it's asking who was the author, We also have the answer to that. We know that it is members of the New York committee. However, what we do not know is who the audience of the source is. We know that they're writing to someone that they're addressing to as Sir. And so this is something that we are going to have to figure out as we get further into our analysis of this document. We know that they must respect them since they call them Sir, and we know that it is a single person. Some questions that might come up with: are they writing to the president? Are they writing to maybe someone in legislature of Georgia? But right now, from just an initial look at this, I'm not quite sure who they are writing to. So that's something that we'll mention on our graphic organizer. So let's go over here. So while we know who this letter is from, we still do not know who this letter is to. And then we can put in question mark, Sir, question mark, who is Sir?